Let me tell you something that almost nobody explains honestly. The hardest part of saving money isn't discipline, it isn't budgeting, and it isn't even income. It's the first $1,000. That first thousand feels slow, it feels fragile, and most of the time it feels pointless. And here's the weird part. Saving the next 10,000 is usually much easier. Not because you suddenly become smarter, not because your life magically stabilizes, and not even because you start making a lot more money. It's easier because at the beginning, money doesn't work with you. It works against you. If you're stuck at zero, or you keep saving and falling back, or you feel like every time you make progress, something wipes it out. This video will explain exactly why that happens, and more importantly, why struggling at the beginning doesn't mean you're failing. My name is Mike, and I spend way too much time thinking about personal finance, human behavior, and why people who try to do the right thing with money still feel stuck. If you're saving, restarting, rebuilding, and wondering why progress never seems to last, make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. Because once you understand this part, saving money finally starts to make sense. When you're starting from zero, saving money feels like fighting on all sides at once. Every dollar you save has an enemy: bills, emergencies, unexpected life stuff. And the problem isn't that you're irresponsible. The problem is that there's no buffer, no margin, no room for error. So even when you save, your progress feels temporary. You're constantly thinking, will this money still be here next month? What if something happens? Am I just going to have to use this again? That constant uncertainty is exhausting. And here's where people get it wrong. Most people mistake that exhaustion for failure. They think, I must be bad with money. I can't stick to anything. I always mess this up. But it's not failure. It's what happens when you try to build stability without any protection underneath you. This is the most frustrating part of saving. You save a little, then something happens. You save again, then something else happens. A car repair, a medical bill, a missed paycheck, a random expense you didn't plan for. So your brain starts asking a very dangerous question. What's the point? Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because your effort doesn't feel cumulative. Every time you make progress, it feels like the reset button gets pressed. And psychologically, that's devastating. Humans are motivated by visible progress. When progress keeps disappearing, motivation collapses. Your brain doesn't think in spreadsheets. It thinks in patterns, and the pattern it sees is, no matter what I do, this doesn't stick. That's why most people quit right before the first 1,000. Here's the part most people don't realize. The first $1,000 isn't meant to make you feel rich. It's not an investment. It's not a milestone to show off. It has one job: to stop resets. That's it. It's the point where small problems stop erasing everything you've done. A few $100 expense is annoying, but not catastrophic. And once resets stop happening, something subtle but powerful changes. Your effort finally sticks. You don't have to start from zero every time. You don't feel like you're constantly rebuilding. And that changes how saving feels emotionally. When you hit that first 1,000, life doesn't suddenly become easy. Your income doesn't double. Your problems don't disappear. But life becomes manageable. You stop rushing decisions. You stop panicking. You're no longer choosing the worst option just to survive the moment. You're choosing better options because you finally have time, and that changes your behavior. You start planning instead of reacting. That's why the first 1,000 matters. Not because it's a lot of money, but because it gives you breathing room. Here's the surprising part. Once you have breathing room, saving stops being emotional. It becomes mechanical. By the time you reach $1,000, you already know how much you can realistically save, which expenses actually matter, where your weak points are. You've already done the hardest work, so going from 1,000 to 2,000 feels possible. From 2,000 to 5,000 feels normal. And that's why the jump to 10,000 doesn't feel 10 times harder. It feels predictable. This is the biggest change of all. Before savings, you ask, can I afford this right now? After savings, you ask, is this worth it at all? That's an identity shift. You're no longer someone hoping nothing goes wrong. You're someone prepared when it does. And once that shift happens, everything else becomes easier. Budgeting, investing, long-term planning, because you're no longer desperate. So let's put it all together. The first $1,000 is hard because every problem is urgent and progress feels fragile. The next 10,000 is easier because resets stop and momentum finally exists. Saving money feels broken at the beginning, but it isn't. You're just early. If this video helped you see saving differently, subscribe for more simple, realistic explanations about money. And check out the next video in this playlist. It builds directly on this one.